So you drew the number 2 pick in your fantasy football draft. It is go time. Let's get you prepared with some strategy talk, some tips, some tricks, and we'll go through pick by pick how you should attack the number 2 pick in your fantasy football drafts this season. Let's get to it. What?
Why are you shaking your head? You're welcome.
What's up, guys? I am Graham Barfield, one of the co-owners here at FantasyPoints.com, and it is draft season, the best time of the year. For my money, this is the best time of the year. You're playing in your leagues. You got your draft set up. It is go time, and today we are going to be walking through the strategy that you need to know, that you need to follow, and just some general ideas and how to think through the second pick in your leagues. It's cheat sheet season, baby. It is cheat sheet season. I've got mine pulled up, the latest copy of our positional cheat sheets here at FantasyPoints.com. Get yours today at FantasyPoints.com/plans. Pick the plan that you need and get your cheat sheets, get prepared, get your research done. Guys, the number one tip I can give you before you go into any draft room, before you start deciding on players, before you really kind of figure out your strategy, is to know your league settings. This here, PPR league, 12 teams. The crucial thing here that you need to know: 2 running backs, 2 receivers, 2 flexes. So we don't have to start 3 receivers. That means that the scarcity of receivers, most likely you won't see a crazy receiver run in the middle rounds. We have to keep that in the back of our minds. Since we don't have to start 3, there's going to be probably more to pick from in the mid rounds. Second, you also start 2 running backs. That also kind of increases the value of running backs. And I'm into taking a running back at number 2 overall. I have 3 in mind, obviously, that I think everybody want to pick. That's CMC, Bijan, and Breece. Pretty much after that, it's kind of the eye of the beholder. 4 through, the rest of the running back board is really eye of the beholder. But the top 3 is clear. Those 3 guys everybody wants to draft. And I'm open to drafting them, especially in this type of league. Now, I will say, if you have a 3 receiver league, I'm definitely going to take CeeDee Lamb or Tyreek Hill here, just because that extra receiver spot really, really increases the opportunity cost. And like I said, the scarcity of these receivers in the mid rounds. And I want to have access to like a top, 5%, 95th percentile score every single week. And really only Tyreek, CeeDee Lamb, Justin Jefferson, those guys get there every single week. Okay, let's get going. Starting from the 2 hole. Hey, and there you go. That must have been John Hanson right there at the 1 hole, drafting CeeDee Lamb. I am going to take Christian McCaffrey here. I'm going to take Christian McCaffrey. He's 28 years old. Yes, the age curve is coming. Yes, McCaffrey has a scary injury history. However, McCaffrey stayed pretty healthy with the Niners. He's been terrific. He's had, obviously, some of the best fantasy seasons a running back has ever had in history. The touchdown upside with him weekly is just insane. I mean, he got to the point in the playoffs last year where he was like minus 250 to score a touchdown at some sports books. Just absolutely wild. I think he's got one more legendary season in him, guys. I think he's 28, like I said. Really not too concerned until these guys get to 29, 30. And especially for a player like McCaffrey, he just kind of feels like a built different type Adrian Peterson type player. I'm still in McCaffrey. I would have also taken Bijan or Breece at 2 in this league. This draft ended up being pretty receiver heavy in the first round. I would have been taking Bijan or Breece at 2 for all the reasons I lined up about the scarcity, about how we can find more receivers. And look right here, we found a really good one. Chris Olave projects extremely, extremely well. Michael Thomas is gone. Rashid Shaheed is the other outside wide receiver. A.T. Perry, Juwan Johnson. Really, Chris Olave is walking into, I think, potentially for the upside of 30% of the targets here. He's a really, really strong volume bet. Really, really great talent. Like the new offensive coordinator, Kubiak system, they're going to use more pre-snap motion or play action. I'm very into Chris Olave, especially in the back half of the second round here. All right, this played out for us really well. The number 1 team took Lamb, took 2 backs, to start their draft. So that worked out pretty well. If we want to take like the anchor approach with McCaffrey, have him be the RB1 once again, I really wouldn't hate Deebo Samuel for this team. Get a little Niner stat going. Looking a little further down the board, I'm into Cooper Kupp here. I'm also into Jalen Waddle. Just taking one last look at the cheat sheet. Yeah, I think DJ Moore is interesting here as well. I really like Deebo here, man. Third round Deebo just feels right. So we're gonna take Deebo. At worst, Deebo's like a high-end wide receiver too with a really strong ceiling. Olave is gonna get the volume, hopefully a little more consistent this season. Feel pretty good about those two wide receivers, and we'll see who we get back here on this turn. Yeah, Kupp, man, is just going so late. Oh my goodness, huge ADP faller in DK Metcalf. DK Metcalf in the fourth round is going to be really hard to avoid. Let's keep looking here just for a second. Make sure we don't miss anybody. I'm okay with Amari here. I like Metcalf more. Mixon, none of these backs are super interesting to me. Definitely not taking Stroud here. Yeah, let's ride with Metcalf, man. Nice little start. Olave, Deebo, and Metcalf. I'm into Seahawks this year. I think Geno's really underrated. His ADP is QB 23. If you stack up basically any of his, counting stats like fantasy points, any of his efficiency metrics, he's like top 15 in everything. Going to be interesting to see if Ryan Grubb opens up the deep passing in this offense. And if he does, I think Metcalf has a crazy, crazy high ceiling. We'll talk a little bit more about Metcalf in a second. Wow. Amari is here still. Who's next on our list? Kirk is gone. No, actually, Kirk is still here. I'm not taking... Man, Mixon is close. I'm very high on Mixon this year. This is tricky. You know what? Yeah, he's not there. Okay. We'll take Joe Mixon here. Fifth round Joe Mixon. Again, kind of playing the age curve a little bit. We're tempting the age gods a little bit here with McCaffrey and Mixon. Mixon, 28 years old, moving teams to the Texans, but Mixon has just been a back-end RB1, high-end RB2 his entire career. He's attached to CJ Stroud. They're going to use him as a bell cow. And looky there, we've got some nice receivers coming back to us to fill this out. Man, we've just been doing nothing but bump up Rashee Rice's projection because it kind of it seems like Rashee might not even get suspended this year. I am no lawyer. I am no legal expert. I am a mere fantasy analyst trying to draft the best teams. But, he does not have a criminal court date set, that is. The NFL does not suspend players unless their criminal cases are settled. Rice has moved all the way up to wide receiver 19 in our projections. And getting him here in the 7th round with this team as our wide receiver 4 just kind of feels like stealing, especially with McCaffrey. Okay, so he took McLaurin and Stevenson. Stevenson would have been the next back I was interested in. I think that kind of ends that tier of players. We could take Kyler or Love here. I wouldn't absolutely hate that. Kyler obviously has the rushing. You know what? Let's take Kyler here. It's a good team for Kyler. Solid back end or quarterback 1. He has the upside to finish top 5 this year. I don't think he will. The floor was really good last season. And in start-sit leagues like this, and managed start-sit leagues, I really care about floor at quarterback. Even coming off the ACL, Murray had a really high floor. The ceiling wasn't as high as it once was in the past. I think he gets back there this season, but it's going to be really hard for Murray to finish as the QB1 again with it's nothing against him. It's just Hurts has so much touchdown upside. So does Josh Allen. So does Lamar Jackson. So does Patrick Mahomes. You go on and go on. I do like Kyler here and for this team specifically, especially we got 2 good backs. We got 4 really good receivers we feel good about. All right, we're back on the clock here, and Jake Ferguson is just staring at me in the face. I mean, this is too good to pass up here, I think. Ferguson, massive value by ADP. He's our tight end 7 in projections this season, similar tier as George Kittle. I think Kittle will obviously go up if Ayuk does get traded. But Jake Ferguson, PPR, caught 80 balls last season, man. This is a really good spot for him. Really good spot. We'll take Jake Ferg to round out the starting lineup. So far, we got Kyler, CMC, Joe Mixon, Olave, Deebo, DK Metcalf, Rashee, Rice, and Jake Ferguson in that tight end spot. Coming back on the clock here, Tyjae Spears and Chase Brown are the 2 guys that stand out the most, according to our projections versus ADP here. At running back, at receiver, it pretty much dries up here, guys. This is kind of the end of the tier. Once, these interesting rookies and kind of the veterans like DeAndre Hopkins, Deontay Johnson is just a massive value right now, 8th round for him. I would have loved to get him here. I maybe should have even taken him over Kyler. But after that, man, this receiver tier kind of dries up. We just took a tight end, so we feel good there. It's versus Tyjae versus Chase Brown, and I'm always going to default to the better offense. If I've got a player ranked in a similar tier, like we kind of do with Tyjae and Chase Brown, 2 kind of pass catching backs that if you squint, hopefully they get goal line work. And if there's an injury to Zach Moss, or if there's an injury to Tony Pollard in Tyjae's case, they have massive contingent upside. However, I'm always breaking ties with better offenses. Chase Brown is on the by far better offense attached to Joe Burrow, who's a player I want to draft heavily this season, especially his receivers. But 9th round, Chase Brown, we'll take it in this team as our RB3. We're going to feel good about a running back falling here, most likely. Except they all went as I'm saying that. All right, so we're back up. We've got 3 good backs. 3 playable backs, 1 really high ceiling, good RB2. Man, oh man, Jaden Daniels here just to take two. I typically don't want to take 2 quarterbacks, but to have 2 high upside quarterbacks like this with these players, man, it kind of feels like we have to take Jaden Daniels here. Let's do a quick check of the running backs. I think by our projections, Jerome Ford makes a ton of sense on this team. You know what? Let's take Ford here, and we'll see if we can slide Daniels through as our second quarterback. Let's see if we can pull a fast one here. I think Josh Palmer would be in this tier too at receiver. Okay. Let's do that. We're going to take Jerome Ford. Nick Chubb coming back off of obviously just an absolutely devastating injury. Ford last year was the RB16 in PPR. He's a really strong RB2 last season. I don't think he gets to that level this season. Again, guys, obviously Nick Chubb's timeline is a big factor in that. Nice. So here's what we could do. We could take the second quarterback, or we take our 5th receiver. I'm going to take Josh Palmer. We're very high on Josh Palmer. We actually like him more than Ladd McConkey. Our guy Joe Dolan made a really good comp. Yeah, there goes Jaden. We took Kyler. That was the mistake, I think, in this draft. Looking back on it, not taking like Deontay Johnson or Chris Godwin there in that spot, and then we could have taken Jaden at one of these 2 spots. But we got Josh Palmer. Really like the upside, especially in the 11th round. Could be Justin Herbert's number 1 wide receiver. Joe Dolan made a really good comp the other day. He's like, forget looking for next year's Puka Nacua. Like that was, 5th round rookie with an incredible efficiency profile, just really blew up in the right system. Like those players are very, very much outliers. Nico Collins, though, he's an outlier in his own right. But I mean, we see veterans pop in new roles all the time. Josh Palmer could be that guy this season. Not maybe to the same effect. I don't think Josh Palmer finishes as a wide receiver 1, but I think he's got a pretty decent chance to be Justin Herbert's number 1 wide receiver, albeit on a very, very pass-heavy team. But in the 11th round, I'm more than willing to take the shot on his upside. We've got a couple of running backs here. Jalen Polk is interesting, potentially as the number one wide receiver there for the Patriots. J.K. Dobbins is also a little interesting for this team. It's the 12th round. I mean, yeah, he's coming off an Achilles injury and he's coming off an ACL, but like he could be the lead back on this team. Let's take Rico, better offense in the Cowboys, and we'll come back. We do have 5 pretty good receivers. Rice is the 4. Palmer's a pretty solid backup. To me, it's between Polk and Dobbins. Let me take one last peek at our tiers here. You know what? Let's take Polk. We'll take the rookie for some upside. Yeah, Dobbins is the very next running back taken. No surprise. He was really sliding past ADP. All right, so we took, let's see, we've got 2 backup receivers. We've got Chase Brown, Jerome, Ford, 2 playable guys in the flex and to back up our runners, and Rico, Dowdle, Jalen Polk as the interesting rookie upside pick. We'll make a couple of final picks here. Defense and kicker, got Cowboys D. And where's Kaimi? Oh, is he gone? Oh, he just went. Oh, I got sniped on a kicker. Oh, I like Kaimi Fairbairn. Indoors attached to CJ Stroud. Jason Sanders was solid last year. I don't want Daniel Carson because it's worse offense. Fine, we'll take Jason Sanders. I can't believe I was sniped on a kicker, guys. Unbelievable. All right, final look at the team here. Like I said, if we made one mistake in this draft, I think it was taking Kyler here. I'm perfectly fine if that's the one mistake. But I do think it was a mistake not taking Godwin or Ridley or Deontay Johnson, especially in this PPR league. Godwin and Deontay are just going to be massive target earners, especially this season. I'm willing to give Ridley one more chance, man, especially with this DeAndre Hopkins injury, right? Hopkins battling a little bit of a knee injury as we go into the season. One last look at the team. McCaffrey got to us at 2. Number 1 team, a.k.a. John Hansen, took Lamb at number 1. And we have 3 straight receivers, Brees, Bijan. Like I said, I would have taken Brees or Bijan at number 2 in this league in particular. And we came back, we just settled in. We took a bunch of receivers. DK Metcalf in the 4th round at 411 is just absolutely stealing. I said I want to talk a little bit more about Metcalf. This Seahawks offense is really, really interesting, right? Like I kind of outlined a second ago that Geno looks undervalued. Like you're not going to be drafting Geno Smith in your 1 quarterback leagues at all. However, Geno's undervalued. DK Metcalf has always been like a player that if we just could wish cast a few more deep targets, a little more volume, I don't think he's never going to be the true like number 1 wide receiver like Justin Jefferson is. He's not going to get the 28 to 30 to 33% target share just because Tyler Lockett and Jackson Smith and Jigba are so good. However, we could see some huge efficiency boosts with this offense. Ryan Grubb coming from Washington, that offense led college football last year, according to Pro Football Focus, in deep passing yards. Geno has been fantastic throwing deep the last couple of years by completions over expectation, according to Fantasy Points data. Geno's been top 10 back-to-back seasons in completion rate over expectation on deep throws. If we get a few more deep passes from Geno to DK, maybe a little more efficiency, I think Grubb is going to, use more pre-snap motion, use kind of more creative alignments on the field for all 3 of these receivers to kind of get leverage on defenders. I think Metcalf has an under-tapped ceiling. Joe Mixon's just a fine pick in the 5th round, just an absolutely fine pick. I think he'll get a bell cow workload one more season. Obviously, there's risk involved, but in the 5th round, a lot of that risk is more than baked in. We're going to make some really bad picks in fantasy football, guys. That's what happens every single year. Your really bad picks are going to start typically in the 5th round. Joe Mixon could be one of those guys. However, I'm more than willing to take the shot on his upside, still remaining as a back-end RB1. Again, upside wins championship, guys. And Rashee Rice in the 6th round, it feels like that. Like, even if he gets suspended 2 to 3 games, as long as those games, fingers crossed, are not during weeks 15, 16, and 17 during the fantasy championship, we're good. I want Rashee Rice on the field for me during those weeks, and we're fine. That being said, Rice's upside is amazing. We saw what he did, obviously, with Patrick Mahomes to close out last season. He was a back-end wide receiver 1 in PPR. Now imagine him getting cleared out by Xavier Worthy, getting clear outs by Hollywood Brown. The middle of the field is going to be a little more open for the Chiefs this year. And if Rashee does develop his route running to the point where he can, not just be the shallow cross guy, not just be the screen and design target guy, but he can actually start moving downfield more, man, Rice's upside is so sick, especially in the 6th round, attached to Patrick Mahomes. We came back. We got some solid RB depth. Chase Brown and Jerome Ford. Those give us some playable floors at the flex. If Rashee does get suspended, or if we need to, bump in one of these guys over Joe Mixon. And yeah, Joshua Palmer, final pick, really is one of the guys who could crack the starting lineup to start week 1. He won't, obviously, but like I said, a little bit of underrated upside, especially in the 11th round. A little bit of fear, uncertainty, doubt around Justin Herbert and the foot injury right now, and just what this offense is going to look like, right? I mean, very pass heavy the last couple of seasons for the Chargers. That's going to completely flip. John Harbaugh and Greg Roman are going to make sure Justin Herbert does not drop back and pass 35, 40 times a game. They are not going to do that anymore. I still think Palmer and Ladd McConkey have a little bit of upside in the 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th round of your PPR leagues. I'm perfectly fine taking shots on both of them as a wide receiver 4, wide receiver 5 type attached to Herbert. Guys, thanks so much for hanging. Thanks so much for listening. If you're not already, please subscribe, hit the like button below. It really does help. I know you guys hear this all the time, but it really does help us out. If you think I was wrong, please tell me. Get down in the comments. Tell me I was wrong. Tell me where I messed up. Tell me how I could have picked better. What would you have done in this league? We got 2 running backs, 2 receivers, 2 flexes. What would you have done in this? Leave a comment down below. We will respond. And guys, till the next video, good luck in all of your drafts.